let's say I'm going out on the street and a Muslim come to me, hey, give a look, my friend, what's going on there in Gaza? It is right. Yes, they're coming out. Do you see anti-Semitism? You know, in Stamford Hill there is such a big anti-Semitism. You know what it means? A Muslim guy asks a Jewish person, what's going on in Gaza? Oh, this is terrible. And they blow it up. The anti-Semitism is very big in Stamford Hill. They can't live together. This is crazy. There's a beautiful life between Jews and Muslims. There is no anti-Semitism at all. This is anti-occupation, anti-genocide.
Peace be upon you, and welcome to episode 3 of Let's Review. Today we have a very special show because I've come all the way across the other side of London to Stamford Hills. In my last podcast, I was speaking to the Honourable Rabbi David West from Neturei, Karta, USA, and he had mentioned that it's not just a few Jewish people who are speaking with this true voice about what is happening in Palestine and Israel. You may remember that he mentioned that if you go to the true Jewish communities in New York, in London, such as Stamford Hills, you will find other people who have similar views to what David West, Rabbi, was saying. And so today, I'm delighted to be here in Stamford Hills, a very strong Jewish community in the heart of London. And I'm joined by two very respected honorable guests. To my right here is Honorable Rabbi Elhanan Beck, who is a spokesperson for Neturei Karta UK. And you may have seen him across social media, just like David West, Rabbi, in the USA. Rabbi Elhanan Beck has been very prominent here in the UK. Rabbi Beck, first of all, peace be upon you, and it's an honor to have you here on this podcast.
Thank you.
And I also have next to me another very respected rabbi, Rabbi Haim Sofre, who is, of course, a rabbi, and he's also attached to Neturei Karta as well as other activities. And thank you, first of all, because I couldn't find the location initially, and we met you outside, and you told me, come with me, and then you took us to the house where we were having the podcast there.
It was a pleasure.
So, Rabbi, welcome to this podcast.
Thank you very much.
So, Rabbi, I want to start off by saying, because the first podcast we did, we interviewed a rabbi in Jerusalem, and it was very controversial. We had many views, and people were getting upset that how can he say these things? And in the second, it was Rabbi Benjamin Lau, yes. And he was basically, I was asking from a religious scriptural point of view, that is, what's the action of the Israeli government in Palestine? Is it supported by the Torah? And what does the Torah say about an eye for an eye and retribution? He initially said that, and I don't want to misquote, people can see it themselves, but he said that, according to the Torah, of course not, you cannot kill women, you cannot kill children, you can only attack who attacks you. But he said, what can we do? They're hiding in hospitals, they're doing this. So he said the IDF tried their very best to protect citizens and so on. But they're animals, so therefore we have to do this, we have no choice, etc. In the second podcast with Rabbi David West, he very eloquently went through the scriptures and he went through the meaning of eye for an eye. But it's very important because although most people appreciated it, there were a few comments, people saying, oh, he maybe only represents a few people. But we've come now to the heart of London, and I wanted to start off by asking you, is this just a view of one person who we interviewed on the podcast last time? How would you describe this, Rabbi Beck?
First thing, that what he's speaking about, eye for eye, haven't got nothing to do with today's situation. My colleague Rabbi Sofre will explain it more. However, eye for eye, that is some judgment what's happened, but how we have to judge something, and also it's out of context. Eye for an eye don't means that we have to break out the eye of a person. Rabbi Sofre will explain it later. However, today it's not the issue at all. We are not speaking now about any judgment. We don't speak, he say that we have no choice and we have to protect ourselves. Fine, but who gives you the right on the first hand to stay in this land at all? Who gives you the right to take over the land? So first thing, it's not your land, get out of the land so you don't have to defend yourself. Just imagine how it looks, the whole region on the Middle East without Zionism. It was a peaceful area, a nice area. What's happened there? Since Zionism comes and take over the land, it's bloodshed after bloodshed after bloodshed, and then they have to defend themselves. Who asks you to defend yourself? You don't have to defend yourself, and please don't defend me. Don't defend other Jews. Just go away from here. Leave back the land. Give it back for the Palestinians, and it will be peace in the region. Like we have peace in all the lands. Jews can live in Palestine, like we live in all the Muslim countries. We live in Morocco, in Tunisia, Algeria, Iran, Turkey, everywhere. There's beautiful Jewish communities all over the Muslim countries. There's no problem. So why in Palestine should be a problem? Just give back the country to the right owners, to the Palestinians, then you haven't got a problem to defend yourself.
Rabbi, how many, from what I understand, even if someone, and we'll come to more about Neturei Karta after, but from what I understand, that even if someone is not part of Neturei Karta, there are many Jewish people who support this view of yours. Is that something correct? Like within...
Yes, this is the part of the question what I still didn't answer. You asked me about it. What are the views of Jews? Of course, I can... when I'm speaking about Jewish people, I'm speaking people looks like me. This type of people, really ultra-Orthodox Jewish people. So this type of people, I can say that most of them are anti-Zionist, and 95% of them, they are non-Zionist. Non-Zionist considering means people what Zionism is not a part of their life. They haven't got nothing to do with it. They go on their life in the business, in the prayers, in studying, in teaching the children. Nothing to do with the whole idea of Zionism about Israel. For example, if Israel will come to an end, it will be dismantled. Of course, we hope and pray for peace in a peaceful way. They will not shed a tear. It's not theirs. They haven't got nothing to do with that. So because of that, you can see here in Stamford Hill, there is a large Jewish community, thousands of Jews, hundreds of institutes. You won't find here in the whole area even one single Israeli flag. And it's not only here. I mean, this is everywhere where it's a concentration of this type of Jews, Orthodox Jewish people, like in Manchester, in Gateshead, in even out of the country, in Antwerp, in Belgium, in Vienna, of course in the USA, in Brooklyn, in upstate, even Argentina, in Australia, anywhere where you see a concentration of this type of Jews, you will not find an Israeli flag in the whole area. So not everybody, I can say, he's in the same views as Neturei Karta, but they are not agreeing with all the ways how we're going out of protests and something like that. I take out just a calendar. You can go in any shop here. Yes, and not only here, all over around the world. Go in any bookshop, buy any calendar. We have about 20, 30 types of calendars. Yes, go in any Hebrew bookshop, just pick up a calendar and go to the Israeli Independence Day. Take it, Israeli Independence Day. You will not see mentioned even a single word about it. This is the Israeli Independence Day, exactly like all other days. No difference. No difference between this day and any other day. The same thing. And you see that in all the calendars, and not only here. Going in Australia, buy a local calendar in any local shop. Nothing mentioned, even one word about the Israeli Independence Day.
I think that's really important point. So, because even if whatever the size of Neturei Karta, whether big or small, the point is it doesn't matter, because there's many other people of the Jewish religion who don't support the actions of the Israeli government. This is basically what you're saying. So it's irrelevant what the size is of Neturei Karta. Some people use this as an argument, yes? They say, okay, maybe it's small or whatever. The point is there's many more people beyond Neturei Karta who share similar views, but maybe they're not part of it, as you mentioned.
But again, Neturei Karta is even not a formal organization. We haven't got memberships and something like that. This is just the name what people gave for these people what's coming out. People give them the name Neturei Karta. Neturei Karta means the guardians of the city. It means the guardians of the Jewish faith. But it's really not an organization. We are the same Jews like all the Jews are praying in all the synagogues. I'm a teacher in a few schools here in Stamford Hill. Just they haven't got nothing to do with Neturei Karta. Most of this area here are strongly anti-Zionist, and the rest of them are non-Zionist.
Rabbi, either of the rabbis, I mean, so you've made that very clear, that the views of people in the true Jewish communities. What about in Israel? Do you have a presence in Israel? Or if you go to Israel, your members, are they persecuted? Are they, attacked? Not maybe physically, but how is the response amongst the either the government or the people in Israel, when these same views of people like yourself and others within the state, within Israel.
We are attacked also physically. The Rabbi will explain you better.
Yes, there is a very strong presence of Karta in Palestine. However, we don't call it Israel because we believe, as South the huge community believe, that the state of Israel has no right of existence. They occupy the land which doesn't belong to them. According to divine decree, we're in exile. We've been deported from this land 2,000 years ago, approximately, because of our sins. And we'll come back to this land together with all the world together when Messiah would be revealed. And that Messiah that we're talking about is a spiritual Messiah. It means that it's a person, but he will bring the world to a high level of spirituality. This Messiah, the whole world, the whole universe would enjoy from him. It's going to benefit all the religions will come to serve God. There's verses in Isaiah says, will be the day of the Messiah. We've been sworn with 3 oaths, very strict oaths, not to conquer Palestine, not to go to live in Palestine in mass movement, like the same as the Zionists are doing, and also not to go back to Palestine and to create a kingdom before the era of Messiah. People even from the religious Zionist camps, parties are realizing that in through Karta's views is the most right, which means it was a terrible mistake. Getting out of exile, create a military, people with their own language which would never use, that's Hebrew, and define the goyim, define and rebelling against the Muslim, which were very good to us. That was a terrible mistake, which we see the end of it. Soon we can see everyone talks about that the end of state of Israel is getting closer and closer, because of that they enraging the whole world is outraged about their latest massacres and war crimes which they conducting in Gaza. However, I would like to come back to Neturei Karta. There's a whole few neighborhoods in Jerusalem which Neturei Karta is very influential, and they have the Palestinian flags in few neighborhoods. So the Zionist police are systematically beating up our members. Yes.
Physically beaten up.
Physically, yes. I myself was beaten up badly.
You were beaten up yourself?
Yes, badly, and I was set in jail a few times because of that. And I was very badly treated in the jail.
Why did they do that to you?
Because I was an anti-Zionist activist. I was advertising a lot of literature against the Zionist state.
In Jerusalem.
Yes, and I was fighting all their attempts to convert these religious Jews to make them secular, in all means of commandments which they'd like to uproot and destroy. And also I was very active as a pro-Palestinian activist, and there was a lot of activists like us that were not able to stay there because they were persecuted very harshly by the Zionist police. They burst into their houses. My house was burst in by Zionist police. They turned upside down the whole house like they do by Arabs. Yeah, that's something which you don't do by normal Jews. Yes, the whole purpose of this thing, it was just to put us fear, to pressure us not to do such things, not to be pro-Palestinians, and just to keep our mouth shut. And if not, they told me there's a place you can live. You can go live outside of Palestine.
So they're using kind of intimidation to try and say, don't speak against the mainstream view.
We never made a violent things against the Zionists, basically with no arms, no sticks, no.
Everything you do is peaceful.
It's peaceful, verbal, yes. And even this thing they couldn't stand because they saw that our voice has been spread all over the place, and it's convincing many people. Until today, many people calling me and tell me asking me questions about the dispute, and I open their eyes. You're talking about thousands of Jews in Palestine, thousands have opened their eyes, that realized it was a mistake, yes, to reverse this exile. It was a mistake to distort the history about the beautiful relations that we have with Muslims, because the Muslims have hosted us beautifully. Yes, I'll tell you another example which I've heard lately. The government of Damascus in the time of the Caliph Usman, he was the Khalif Usman, as you know, he was the third Khalif. After was Abu Bakr, and there was Ali ibn Khattab, and then was Usman. Till Usman was murdered, there was his governor, his name Muawiyah ibn Saifan. Most probably you've heard about it. He was very friendly to Jews. He was very friendly to Jewish businesses. He called people to come to live in Damascus. Till he died, he also ordered his son. His son also was very friendly, Jewish friendly.
You mentioned, Rabbi, about the reaction of the government in Israel, and they even intimidate and persecute, and they don't want that view of Jewish people to be raised. What about the people in Israel, the public? Like, are they influenced by this, propaganda by the Israelis against people like yourselves and others? Or how do the people, not the government, but the general public in places like Israel, how are they reacting to this viewpoint?
You look, again, when I'm speaking of half just of people like me, this type of people. This type of people, I can say there are hundreds of thousands that are against the state of Israel and try to boycott as much as they can the state of Israel as much people can when they live under a government. Yes, it's impossible to boycott 100%. Many people gone out of there. Like my family, I born in Palestine and I gone out on the, not me, my parents gone out on 1970. Tens of thousands of Jewish families has gone out since the creation of the state, 1948. So I cannot say, I'm not there already over 50 years, but as much as I hear from my friends there are hundreds of thousands of Jewish people what are strongly against the Zionist people. That's what you're asking, that the Zionists say we are a fringe group or extremist or something like that. It's very, very easy to label people like that. People what they don't like you. To label people like that. The Zionists have a very strong influence in of the media all over the world, and you can say that you can see that not only in regarding of Jews, you can see that also in regarding of Muslims. Yeah, they're playing down all the demonstrations that's happening now in the city of London every week. They're playing that down. If there's 1 million, they say 300,000. If there's 300,000, they will say 40, 50,000. They play it down every time. However, what you can see, we Jewish people, we are attending every single demonstration. However, you will not see one single picture of us in the media. Never.
In the mainstream media?
In the mainstream media, yes. I speak of mainstream media. Yeah. Never.
They'll never show it. Why?
Never.
Why is that? Why, Rabbi? Why do you think?
Yes. This is because they can't ignore there are Muslims against Israel. But Jews against Israel, Jewish rabbis against Israel, they cut them by the roots. They're coming, we have to protect Jews all over the world. And here we see rabbis, they say, no, we can live together with the Muslim people. We have no problem with the Muslims. This cuts them by the roots. That they want to silence it as much as they can. Yes, I myself, I was in the USA. I used to live in the USA. I live here 36 years. I used to live in the USA, and there was a large demonstration outside the Israeli embassy. It's in Manhattan on the 2nd Street. 2nd Street is a wide street, about, I think, 7 lanes. 30,000 Jewish people was there, and the whole road was blocked completely. And even not one word has mentioned in the media. And even the police, when they say there's a roadblock, they say some roadworks there. They didn't want to mention the Jewish people are demonstrating against the state of Israel. So they're using all the power to silence all the real Jewish voice, what's against them, and then they can say, of course, this what leaks out, they say, oh, this is extremist, this is only a few people, blah, 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 blah. But when you come into our neighborhood, you will see there's no Israeli flags at all over here. And there are large communities.
I noticed that because, I'll be honest, it's my ignorance. I was born in London, but I'd never been to this part of London. And when we came here, we noticed everyone wearing the Jewish kind of attire, and all the women and men, all the women are all obviously conservatively dressed as well. So it's a very, very strong Jewish community. We're sitting here right now in a very strong Jewish community. If we go outside here, the house, everyone is wearing Jewish clothing. I think there's a synagogue here. Is there a synagogue? Or
Yes, a few synagogues.
Yes, and I sometimes say to my children that there's so many similarities between Jewish people and Muslims. Like I saw a sign saying men and women, and similarly our mosque we have separate. We don't eat pork, and many things that we share similarities with. But as you said, sometimes on the Zionist side they want to show as if only anti-Semitism or only differences, whereas there are many similarities between.
It's not only that. Give a look here in Stamford Hill. We live together with the Muslims brothers. All the minicab drivers here, about 200, all of them are Muslims, and we're sending the small children of 2-3 years in the school daily with the Muslim minicab drivers. I live here 36 years. I never had even one incident. And the same thing that we have here, synagogues side by side to mosques. And when the Jewish synagogues need to build an extension, that the Muslims councils help them. And the same thing, Muslims wants to build an extension for their mosques, the Jewish councils, they help them. So this is really a sample how Jews and Muslims can live together. And this is what the Zionists wants to hide for any price. No, the Muslims wants to kill all the Jews. They want to throw all the Jews into the sea.
The Zionists, the justification to come to be so-called the defenders of Jews, they have to sell for the world sophisticated propaganda that first of all there was no really good history with the Muslims, and now there's no way how to make peace with the Muslims, and we are here to defend. So I can tell you, I can promise you, since the world Zionism came to the world, yes, anti-Semitism and hatred between non-Jews and Jews grew up and grew up and grew up. The success of Zionism is that we cannot live together. But when we come and talk to them and make business together, live together, respecting it to each other, and recognize that we had a very shared, beautiful history. And we have now having a beautiful history, as Rabbi Beck mentioned, in Morocco, in Algeria, in Tunisia, in Teman, and in Iran, and in Lebanon also. There's tens of Jews who live, and the Hezbollah military are protecting them. Yes.
Rabbi, because some people asked the question that they said that but there are some, they say that there is some anti-Semitism from the Muslims and so on, and that there sometimes is some sentiment against Jewish people. How do we respond to, because last time as well when we had the podcast, many people were very refreshed by the views of the rabbi, but there are other people who are maybe anti-Muslim, and they're saying, no, there was the Hebron massacre, there was this happened, that happened, there was other elements. They're saying there's now attacks against synagogues and other things happening. They say there's a rise of anti-Semitism, you might have heard in the media. So how do we correspond what you're saying with these things?
So you were mentioning the massacre of Hebron. Yeah, what happened by the massacre of Hebron? In Hebron was a very peaceful city. I saw many pictures of the Jews which were living in Hebron very peacefully. They're going buying from Arabs. Yes, I have a picture at my home of how the Arab goes with the Jew together, and they're buying together, and they talking, giving advice to each other, what to buy, how to buy. That was Hebron. Now, what happened in Hebron? There was the Zionists, with a little bit small group, religious Zionists, decided to demand the rights of praying on the Haim al-Sharif, on the Aqsa area. Yes, and the Muslims gave us the right to pray by the Western Wall, but not as an occupier, not as a landowner, like a landlord. We just come in, we're thanking them that they gave us the right to pray there to God. But when came a big Zionist rabbi, and he with the Zionists decided to say, no, we're not going to go there, pray there as a guest that's asking a charity for the Muslims. We're going to show them that we're here to stay, and we're going to take it over. It's ours. That's the change. The Muslims saw that the whole status of the prayer has been changed from a religious status to a national status, a national demand of taking over land, grabbing land, and that's part of the Zionist agenda. So they started getting angry. They warned the Zionists to stop it. We're going to allow you to pray there, but not as an owner, not as a landowners, just as a guest. And the Zionists were laughing from them. They said, we're here to come over. We're here to create our own land, and that's part of our national property. And that's what there was a lot of anger among the Arabs, and that's brought, unfortunately, of the massacre of 29. And it's something which no one tells. The massacre in Hebron, which 70 Jews were killed, they were killed not by Jews, not by Arabs that lived in Hebron. The Arabs in Hebron, which was the neighbors of the Jews, they protected the Jews. It's all these 70 Jews that they were killed. Some of them were captured in the street and they were killed. Some of them was in a yeshiva, in a Jewish college. Yes, but most of the Arabs were hidden by their neighbors till the British military came and put an
So you're
order.
saying this is going back to presenting history in the way they want to.
Exactly. Now they're saying that the massacre of February just like that. The massacre. They woke up in the morning. Yes, let's get after the Jews. Let's kill them all. That's a lie. It's never have been in the history. As I said, I remember I told you the dispute between Muslims and Christians in Damascus. They said the Jews have nothing to do with us. They're loyal citizens. We're not going to touch them. It's never have been something like that. Almost as far as I know. Yes, that just like that the Muslim would wake up one morning and say, let's finish off the Jews. It was always about that. This thing, all the latest massacres.
On October 7th?
October 7th also. I'm not here to justify bloodshed of innocent Jewish people.
Any bloodshed is condemned.
Exactly. Just as I condemn sharply the massacres with the Zionists are conducted in Gaza. However, I think, my opinion, and that's the truth, is that the Palestinian resistance movement has had, in order to make this massacre, they wanted to show to the world how did they live. You have to understand, before this massacre in Gaza, before this bombardment and genocide with the Zionists are conducting in Gaza is a jail for 2.5 million people. Medicines didn't come adequately. There was a large lack of medicines. The water which they give to Gaza, the Zionist regime, it's a water it's contaminated, very unhealthy water. I'm not advising for the Gaza people to get water from the Zionists. It's very unhealthy water. The food, they give them a very limited supply of food. No constructions. All the previous wars that the Zionists had conducted with Gaza made a large destruction. I'm not talking to that today, that 60% of the buildings in Gaza have been destroyed. I'm talking before that. There was no really construction in Gaza because they don't allow in construction material to Gaza.
Some people on the Israeli side, they were showing some apparently very beautiful areas of Gaza and saying, look, it was like a heaven. You might have seen, right? They show some pictures and say, look, it was like a heaven before, beautiful buildings and beach. Try and show that actually it was really nice. Is that just they're showing the wrong type of images?
Well, first of all, it is 1.8 million displaced Palestinians from their houses. And if you see the pictures of the neighborhoods, Al-Rimal, Sajaiya, Jabalia, it's almost everything wiped out. There's all these pictures before the war of some areas, nice areas, which was built at the time when the British regime was controlling, not the British, when the Turkish regime was controlling Gaza. There was some beautiful apartments.
But those are just some areas, right? Because there's also a documentary on Netflix called Born in Gaza. You might have seen it. It was made 8 years ago, and it showed actually the reality of Gaza very nicely, how they're living in very deprived neighborhoods, even before the war, very tough conditions, even going through big rubbish dumps, rubbish piles just to find stuff to sell.
First of all, you have to understand, there's only few neighborhoods that they say in the Zion says was built nicely built. It's like Hai Zaitun and Hai Tuam, but the other ones, yes, like the refugee camp Ashati, refugee camp Jabalia, Bet Lahia, this all this rubbish. There's no real apartments. All buildings that were built in a very low material and was very easily collapsed now in the bombardments here, which who knows how many people have been buried there. God forbid. I'm really sorry, and I'm asking forgiveness in the name of Jews, which there's at least 1 million Jews that disagree and condemning sharply these massacres and this genocide. I couldn't sleep for many days because of that, and until now I'm completely shocked. I can see that people whose names talks about in the Torah. I would like to remind you this Mr. Lau that you told me, which is a rabbi, and you told me that they deserve it. They're hiding. It's not true. The Zionist state are conducting the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. They're not interested that these 2.5 million Palestinians will remain there, because they would like to build a canal between Ashkelon to Eilat to replace the Suez Canal. There's a lot of oil on the beach of Gaza. They would like to take it for themselves, and the Palestinian military in Gaza and the Palestinian Muslim regime is a disturbance for them. They don't want it. That's why you can see they're building, they're destroying all the infrastructure. What for? You're after the Hamas, you're after the jihad. Why do you destroy all the infrastructure? Because they want to make it a life unbearable and impossible to live in that should leave.
Do you feel your message is being heard at all, or is it?
I want just to add what he's speaking about, the anti-Semitism in the Muslim world. I mean, how people can deny this fact? We have a golden history in the Muslim countries for centuries. We live together much more than the rest of the world. Everybody knows. Just a bit of history knows that very clearly. How they can deny that? And how we can deny... Give a look. I just gave you an example of this area here where we live. We live together with the Muslim people. Thousands of Jews, thousands of Muslims, house by house, door to door. Just go out here on Kaivadale Road. You will see all the Jewish houses have like a mezuzah. It's called a mezuzah. The Muslim houses haven't got it. You can see one door with a mezuzah, one door without, one door with, one door with. Most, I can say, of the non-Jewish houses here are Muslims. We're living together. If we didn't have even one single incident in the whole area, how people can deny that? How people can deny that what's going on today after 75 years of occupation, 75 years of killing, still Jews live peacefully in all the Muslim countries. This is just a fact. How can deny that? Look how the Jewish life looks in Morocco. Look how the Jewish life looks in Iran. Iran is the biggest enemy. We are the biggest anti-Semite. They want to destroy Israel. They're the biggest enemy of the so-called Jewish people. Now, in Iran, there is a large Jewish community of 30,000 families, and they have a beautiful life there. There is a hospital in Iran running, a Jewish hospital founded completely by the government. And the rate in Iran to get MP, I think it's about 500,000. The Jews have only 30,000 people.
When you say, just for the sake of the viewers, when you say Jewish hospital, you mean because certain practices or rituals have to be done according to certain...
Oh, this is a Jewish administration. Everything is completely a Jewish hospital. It's founded by the government. And the rate there to get an MP, it's about 500,000 people. And the Jews have their own MP. There are only 30,000 Jews, and they have their own MP representing them in the parliament. I mean, there's a beautiful Jewish life everywhere in, let's say, Turkey. There's a beautiful Jewish life there. How the people can deny that? This is completely false Zionist propaganda. It's completely false. Jews, and this is not a religious conflict at all. Muslims don't hate Jews. They're hating occupiers. They have nothing against Jews. And there is nothing here about Jews. There is here only about the occupation. And this should be rectified. This occupation should come to an end. So how we can speak about... I can give you... Let's say, I'm going out on the street and a Muslim come to me. Hey, give a look, my friend. What's going on there in Gaza? It is right. Yes, they're coming out. Do you see anti-Semitism? You know, in Stamford Hill there is such a big anti-Semitism. You know what it means? A Muslim guy asks a Jewish person, what's going on in Gaza? Oh, this is terrible. And they blow it up. The anti-Semitism is very big in Stamford Hill. They can't live together. This is crazy. Everybody knows the place here. There's a beautiful life between Jews and Muslims. There is no anti-Semitism at all. This is anti-occupation, anti-genocide. Jews and Muslims together are anti-genocide. Yes.
Rabbi, an interesting question I want to ask is that a lot of people have been asking me to ask this question because Rabbi Dovoid West, he mentioned the last time, see, it all comes, Christian, Jews and Muslims. Christians are, of course, waiting for the second Messiah. They believe Jesus was the first Messiah and they're waiting for the second coming. Muslims are mainly waiting for the second coming of Jesus physically. I was discussing with Rabbi earlier, Sofre, that from us, we are Muslims, Ahmadiyya community, we believe that Messiah already came in metaphorical terms. But in terms of the belief of your group amongst Judaism, people are asking me to find out more because it essentially comes down to you believe that Palestine, Israel should only be, the exile should be finished when the Messiah comes. But within different religions, there's different beliefs. Some religions have very violent belief that when the Messiah or Mahdi comes, he will forcibly convert people, etc., etc. And then other people have different beliefs. So what is your belief about the coming of the Messiah linked with the finishing of the exile in Israel. How would you explain this?
Yeah, well, look, I will try to explain it, and then I will give it over for the Rabbi. He spoke already about it, and he will explain it better than me. However, if we're speaking about the coming of Messiah, yes, we have to know what is that Messiah. We cannot say the coming of Messiah, just make a Messiah up in your mind and then you criticize that. I don't speak to you personally, understand? If you want to know what Messiah is, you have to look in the books of the prophets. What means that Messiah? Messiah will not be another Netanyahu. Messiah will not be somebody what come with a power and say, I'm the king, everybody my slave, who is not my slave, I will kill them. It's completely not the case. In our scriptures, Messiah means a righteous person, what he coming down, he will be a prophet, and he will bring much spiritual all over the world, in the heart of our people. He will not come with the power of muscles, of physical power. He will come with the power of spiritual, not to take over the world. He will take over the world when he will go into the heart of people, tearing over all the heart of all the people together to serve the same God. It's written in our prayers. At that time, when Messiah will come, all the people together will serve the same God in harmony, in peace, willingly, all of us together. This is our belief in Messiah. Give a look in our scriptures. Messiah is described as Uni v'roiche v'lachamor. Uni v'roiche v'lachamor means a poor man coming on a white donkey. We don't understand what it is exactly, because there are no donkeys today. Like many prophecies, what we will understand when it will happen. We can't put it in exactly into the situation, today's situation. However, what is the description of Messiah? A poor man coming on a white donkey. Not a strong man, he will take over the world, he will kill everybody. It's completely not the case.
You're saying it's he will come peaceful.
Not only peaceful, he will come with the power of spiritual in the heart of people. He will not kill, he will not come to take over the world. He will tear the heart over of people. And all of us will serve the same God in harmony and peace. We will not be on two sides of the fence. We will be on the same side of the fence. Together we will serve the same God in harmony and peace. There will not be any killings then in that time. There will be even peace between the animals. And of course, between people will be full peace at that time. We know that the Christians have a similar belief. I'm sorry, I didn't learn the Christian religion, also not the Muslim religion, but I know that they have some similar beliefs, and I understand that the Muslims think that everybody will serve God. Also, I think in harmony, in peace, but on the Muslim way. And the Christian believers will be in the Christian way.
So one thing I want to say is that amongst the Muslims there's also differing beliefs. There is a group of Muslims who also believe that when the Messiah comes, he will be joined by the Mahdi. You might have heard the Mahdi. And that when he comes, he will actually ask people to say the kalama or shahada, do the shahada to become Muslim. And if they don't, then he will kill them, or he will forcibly. And when we, as I mentioned, I was mentioning to Rabbi Sofre before, that from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, we believe also, like you do, that there will be a peaceful Messiah who will come to win the hearts, because the Quran says, La ikraha fid din, there's no compulsion in religion. But this is another discussion.
We can't really comment about other religions and other beliefs. However, we can just say what our belief is.
Yes.
And I give over the word to Rabbi Sofre about it.
I really have nothing to add about this important and beautiful, clear words of Rabbi Beck. However, I'd like to stress, there'll be no forcible acceptance of religion. What we believe is that the whole world will run to Messiah and serve God. Not that Messiah would run to the people and offer, I have something to sell over here. Come, please. And whenever it doesn't accept it, it's going to receive a bullet in his head. No. The whole world, that's our belief, and you don't have to accept it because you have your own religion. That's what we believe. Nothing will be forced on the world. Messiah will come, will bring a high level quality of spiritualism, which everyone would run everyone would never think about businesses anymore, because first of all, will be food and richness in the world in an enormous way. Weaponry will be belong to the past. The weaponry will be below. We can make a lot of nice, toys from these weapons, because the weaponry will not be able to. The hatred, jealousy, and they're running after honor between nations. That will not be existed anymore. There'll be a unified world to serve God. Now, again, he's not gonna put it. He's gonna force it to you. Change your religion. We believe that everyone who's come to religion to serve was the true religion, and as we see in the prophet Isaiah, and take a look what's happened. Take a look. There'll be a lot of nations. They will say, let's go to the temple that will come over. That's how I believe it's going to come from the skies by God. El Beis Elokei Yaakov, to the God, to the temple of the God of Jacob. And he will show you. We will show us how we're supposed to learn to serve him. Why? Because Kimitzion, from this holy land, Taiseta will be spread the Torah to all the world. And Hashem and the God's words from Jerusalem. Yeah, and he will Shufat and Agoim, he would make judgment between all the dispute, would make sure that there's no more dispute between all the nations. And all nations will take their weapons. Take a look what opened. I didn't open it, I just opened it coincidentally. And they will take all their swords and all the weaponry, and they will make from them shovels to use it for agriculture. And the swords and all this weaponry to cutters, to cut the fruits from the lemons. No nation would fight other nation. There will be any more colleges, military colleges, to learn the way how to fight with the other cousin. That's it. Let's take the previous verse. By the end of this world, when God would reveal his kingdom, the temple would come from the skies, on the top of the mountains, and now we'll have Kol HaGoyim, and all the nations will come to serve God. That's I opened. I didn't plan it. I just opened it.
Which verse is this?
Now
you have to open it.
It's amazing that it shows you exactly that we are. It's Isaiah chapter 2, and the verse is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So according to this belief, let's say the Zionist state was not established. So according to this belief, what would happen when the Messiah comes in terms of returning from exile? How would that look like according to your belief?
Well, it will be that the Messiah will appear himself, yes, and he will reveal himself for the Jews. He will bring all the Jews, the secular Jews, back to the real religion, to the real Jewish religion, and then his name will be spread automatically. Without, I told you, without have to go to the Google. We don't have to go to the internet to spread his name. The whole world will hear for this holy king with his amazing amount of prophecy. All of them will come to hear from him what they have to say. The Maimonides against this holy rabbi says that the whole world's nation will come bring him presents and would accept his kingdom. It will take time. It's not going to take it can take 40 years. Again, until he's going to establish his own kingdom in Jerusalem, and all non-Jews will come to join him.
My final question is, I'm looking, because I know Rabbi Beck has also other engagements. You've given us a lot of time, and Rabbi Sofre. What is the solution to the current, we've talked about what will happen if the Messiah comes or other things, or what should have happened before. But now we have a situation which you and I and we agree is a terrible situation on the people of Gaza. They're suffering so much. What is the current solution right now?
Yeah, look, we are not politicians. I can just say, as a Jewish rabbi, it's written in the Torah, in the references, Numbers 14, verse 41. It's written in the Torah, a rebellion against God cannot be succeed. As long as the state of Israel is a rebellion against the Almighty, as I didn't mention it before, that Jews are in exile by divine decree. The Zionists often waving the flag of the promised land. But when you look in the Torah, you will see it's true. God promised a land for the Jews, but only under certain conditions. If we keep a high level of life, high moral of life, if not, it's written in the Torah 36 times that we will be exiled of that land. And that's what's happened, as you can see in the books of the prophets, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Yirmiyahu, and especially in Yirmiyahu at the end, you can see that God has exiled us of this land. So the exile, what we are in, this is a divine decree. Going against it, this is a rebellion against the Almighty. They say even the Zionists doing the land a free land, especially they're doing that on the head of other people by killing them, by robbing away the land from them. This is against the 10 Commandments. It's written, don't kill, don't steal. So the state of Israel is a rebellion against the Almighty. A rebellion against the Almighty, again, Numbers 14, verse 41. A rebellion against the Almighty cannot be succeed. The state of Israel is already 75 years. But there will come to an end, according to the Jewish belief, 100%. Of course, we pray for a peaceful end. Nobody looks for bloodshed. But there will come to an end, 100%. Now, give a look. They try to make two-state solution. King David, Oslo, not King David, Camp David, Oslo, and the roadmap.
Abraham Accords.
Money.
It talks about the Oslo Accords. There was another agreement. It's called the Y agreement.
Yes, they're making that. Nothing has been succeed. Why? This is the finger of God to show they will never succeed. Look. Israel is already 75 years. How many states has been established in these 75 years? 50, 60. Everyone have peace. This is the only state there is even one single day there's no peace there. Why? It's the finger of God. They will never have peace because this is a rebellion against the Almighty. Up to they will come to an end. And really, this is the only solution. We are not politicians. Again, as the Rabbi said, look, we're looking for a peaceful dismantlement, but this state will be dismantled. But we're looking for a peaceful way, and there is a way. If there is a will, there is a way. And the Rabbi gives an example, like the USSR. I don't know if you remember, it was in EU times for 35 years ago. Yes, the USSR was such a strong entity in people understand to make a dismantlement of this USSR. Millions of lives. It didn't cost even one single life. If there is a will, there will be a way. If USA, UK, EU, and all the cities, countries like that, will understand that the state of Israel is not in any way, in any favorite for the world, not for Jews. Not for Jews. They didn't bring any safeness for Jews. Give a look. Where is the most danger place today for Jews to live? Go around the whole world. Jews live everywhere peacefully. The only danger place is the state of Israel.
Rabbi Haim, any final words in terms of the message to the Jewish people, or even the Muslim people, or even the current situation, the way out now? How do you see it?
Well, my message is, first of all, that we have to keep our cooperation, a beautiful cooperation, to show the world that we don't need world Zionism, we don't need the state of Israel, and we call into the world nation to dismantle peacefully the state, and meanwhile to protect the Palestinians, to have a peacekeeping force in Gaza to protect the Palestinians from being massacred. And I'm calling to Jews that are going to hear me, please keep cooperate, please keep the beautiful cooperation that we had and we have and we will have with the Muslims, our Muslim brothers, because that will be a big card in order to show to the Zionists that they're not essential. Not only not essential, we don't need you, we don't want you, we don't want your protection. Your protection is a distraction. We call all our Muslim brothers to give us a hand for peace, a hand for cooperation, living together, sharing our life together, respecting each other, and we hope to live together till the day that God would reveal His kingdom, which would be accepted on all the world's nation. And I will be happy to know that the Muslim would recognize that there's hundreds of thousands of Jews in England, Palestine, in America, in Australia, that are resisting the existence of the State of Israel, opposing their terrible acts in Gaza, are painful about the expulsion of million Palestinians, which are today are 7 million people, which we accept their natural right of return to Palestine. And these hundreds of thousands of Jews are giving you a hand as brothers, as friends, and we're looking forward for full cooperation and shared life, inshallah, till the day that we will serve all together one God.
Thank you so much to Rabbi Beck, Rabbi Haim, and we finish exactly on time, just 1 minute before Rabbi Beck has to go for his next engagement. So it's excellent timing.
Thank you very much for you were a very, very professional interviewer. I hope that you will keep up the good work.
Yes, and I mentioned, we were speaking beforehand, I invite you to come to our mosque, Beit al-Futuh, and learn more about our community as well.
Which neighborhood is that?
It's in Morden. It's the Beit al-Futuh Mosque. It's the biggest mosque in the UK, made by our community, Ahmadiyya community. So we'd love to receive you as our honoured guests. And
bigger than the mosque in Regent Park?
Yes, it's the biggest in the UK. For a time, I don't know if it still is, it was the biggest in Western Europe. It's completely self-funded, but please come and to learn more. I know we spoke off the record a bit about our community, but you'll be our honoured guest. Please come, and we'd love to receive you more and share our kind of love as well.
And views.
And thank you to the viewers. This is the end of the next podcast, episode 3. You can message and let us know if there's any particular people you want us to interview for this podcast. So we end this podcast in the heart of the Jewish community, Stamford Hill in London, after speaking to Rabbi Beck and Rabbi Haim, who have been our very respected guests, and they gave us ample time. Thank you so much. Peace be upon you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Make sure to like, comment below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and other channels for the latest content.